Okay. Hello, everybody. Very good to have everyone here. We also have a live audience who have dialed in as well online. So half the room here in person and then also half online. And big thanks to those who have made the effort to come along and dial in. So we are recording this, so we'll share it afterwards. And you please do share it with your teams and those that are interested, and obviously part of the volunteer programs, because this is all about enhancing it and making it a hell of a lot better and enhancing that engagement for your teams and particularly volunteers. So I'm Bennett Merriman. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Rosterfy. Very pleased to be standing up here, and we have a number of our team around the room that have been part of putting this together, and the extended team, obviously, part of putting the mobile app together over the last 12 to 18 months. Rosterfy is around 7 years old. The concept in bringing out an app is about 7 years old, and it just so happens that we've got to that day, and we're very excited about bringing it to life now, even though it has taken a little while. We're very proud of the work that's gone in, and we know the impact will be significant for everyone that's taking part as well. So quick bit of housekeeping for those who have joined. Bathrooms are down the hallway to your right past the kitchen. Those who are on the audio or online, you can put your video on video off and also on mute. And I'm sure that will be probably the most cohesive way of running this session as we go. So I will crack into this and get started, but ultimately very excited to be here. Good energy in the room, and thank you very much for joining. So what we'll cover is myself for probably 7 or 8 minutes. I'll go through a little bit about Rosterfy, a bit more of our background, context, what we stand for and why we exist. We then have Jake and Wayne from our tech team who are going to be talking about the specifics of the app, the modules, the functionality, and rolling through that today. We'll then have a case study also, which will go through Cancer Council Queensland platform, how they're implementing the app, the initial feedback from that, and the actual insights that they've seen so far. And then we'll do Q&A at the end. So allow about 10 minutes for Q&A. There will be questions, no doubt. And Dee, obviously, is our CS manager here in APAC, and David, who you've probably worked during onboarding with. So Dee is here today, as is David. But any significant questions you have, or if you're really keen to get going on the app, please schedule a follow-up meeting with Dee and the team, and they'll take you through that over the coming weeks. So as I mentioned, Rosterfy is all about connecting communities to events and causes they're passionate about. We've had this as our mission since day one, and couldn't be more proud of the impact we've had across our customers and also directly with volunteers at the end of the journey that we've been on in terms of the interactions that we're having across those organisations. So we're very pleased to have Lauren here, who's our 100th millionth hour volunteer, sitting next to me for those here, but also those online. And we are proud of the capacity and also the impact we've had globally to be able to get the platform and the organisations up and running as we have as well. So that photo I have here, I think epitomises our mission. It was part of a Golf Australia event, the PGA Championships up in Queensland late last year. This is Margaret and Julie. They're 2 volunteers. Volunteering for them is their passion. Their motto is volunteering by nature. And the reason they were volunteering is they've done it for the last 15 years. They've always, from what I could tell, volunteered on the 17th tee at the championships. And if they're not volunteering at the golf, they're volunteering at Meals on Wheels during the week. And so we love those stories. We love hearing about the volunteers who are giving back and the volunteers who do it as a passion and actually do it as an actual source of enjoyment and engagement and social inclusion across those industries, or more so the communities they're part of. So I wanted to express that as a key story and value that we have within Rosterfy. I also included innovation as part of our team's 5 values because the app epitomises that, and something that we want to take to market as soon as we can and see the impact that we have across the globe as well. As a team, Rosterfy has a commitment to pledge 1%. So that is committing to 1% of staff time hours in volunteering in the community. Organisations who are here, please tap us on the shoulder because we'd love to volunteer with you because the team we have in Sydney, obviously in Melbourne, are very keen to get out here in Australia and obviously internationally to volunteer with organisations as well. That picture there on the left is actually, back in the day, I was a volunteer manager myself for Tough Mudder around Australia. So we used to schedule, manage 500 volunteers every 3 weeks around Australia. We were using spreadsheets, paper briefing notes, paper check-in and check-out. I never slept before the night before the event because I was stressed out of my brains about who would arrive. And I remember those painful thoughts and thinking, wow, there has to be a better way. And whilst we didn't have it at the time, I'm glad that obviously Shannon, Chris and I are back in the day, but now the team are actually implementing something that can reduce headaches, but hopefully give everyone a good night's sleep before their shifts or before the events that are coming around as well. A little bit briefly on what we're seeing across the volunteering landscape here in APAC in particular, but more so globally. So we often see now, and particularly in NFPs, the big problem around recruitment and engagement. Recruitment, one, bringing volunteers in, but then engaging them for the long term as well. So how do we actually keep them engaged and give them a good experience, but actually an experience that they're used to in the tech age, and making sure that engagement is there as ongoing as well. So a couple of statistics over the last 2 to 3 years, there's 23% less volunteers than we've seen back in 2020. 2 in 3 NFPs themselves have seen an increase in demand for their services, particularly this year as the cost of living and challenges increase. And we're also noticing that the volunteers predominantly are 55 and above. So topic today will be about talking about Gen Z and enhancing the volunteer experience so that we can bring a new generation of volunteers into the sector and make sure that they feel like the tools and the systems are keeping up with what they're seeing in other areas as well. Across our platform, we've actually seen a really, I guess, shocking statistic, but a startling statistic whereby in the last 12 months across 2023, only 46% of the shifts on Rosterfy were filled with volunteers. 54% of them were vacant. And organisations obviously have their different numbers and statistics, but this is a very general top level data point that for us means we have to do more from our side to ensure that there's engagement, ensure there's better recruitment flows, and that we're helping you provide you with the tech solutions that can really enhance your program. So we feel like we're part of the ecosystem as much as everyone else, and we've got to pull our weight. And hopefully the technology, and part of that being the app today, can really make a big difference in it as well. So why the Rosterfy volunteer app? So 3 key areas. First one being we're really keen and we want to enhance the volunteering experience and improve engagement. I think volunteers have been very patient and we rely on their goodwill and their passion for volunteering a lot. We're probably not serving them up with the best experience and the best engagement to bring them back further and keep them engaged ongoing in volunteering. So we're really focusing on the volunteer experience and typically through a tech solution which we're providing as it stands. Gen Z and meeting their technology expectations. We can't ignore it. We can't rely on the older volunteers across the board to continue putting the hours in and supporting operational causes. So we must focus on that and provide a solution that brings new volunteers into the ecosystem. And then also making sure that the tool is accessible for people of all ages. The desktop version of Rosterfy at the moment, while functional, we know there's certainly some improvements from a user experience perspective, hence why the app has arrived. And we hope that from an accessibility, from a mobile first perspective, it makes it easier for older volunteers to stay involved and actually apply for shifts, let alone stay, I guess, engaged in ongoing shift work as well. So 3 areas why the volunteer app we think is really critical. Final one before I hand it over is a little bit about that volunteer experience. And I've referenced Golf Australia here and the team here today. I want to just give a shout out to, because Golf Australia and Rosterfy work really closely, in particular over the last 12 months, to bring a older demographic of volunteers onto a new technology tool and are really seeing the impact of that. So very quick reference point, Vic Open Golf last year, there were 210 volunteers, 78 different clubs, and the average age was 67 years old. This is very much before the app. The app was not involved, but they used it for shift selection, shortlisting roles, checking in and checking out. A lot of it was paper-based for Rosterfy, so we've gone through that evolution and we're working on that in the background and making sure that it sticks. And genuinely, the core focus really is about making the volunteer experience as simple as possible, frictionless and as simple as possible. They did do a survey result in an article that was published that 80% of those respondents strongly agreed that Rosterfy was easy to use overall. 74% said that it was easy to self-select their shifts. So we know organizations may have different workflows, different pathways and checkpoints and all these functionality in Rosterfy, and the experience may be different for different volunteers, but we're really optimistic about seeing that because this is before the app. Now the app is here, and you'll see in a second that hopefully that user experience is only getting better, and hopefully the volunteer experience is becoming more engaging as well. So I thought I'd share that because for us, it's the experience and it's the engagement and making sure that that's a big part of the tool going forward. So thank you for listening to me because I know you're all here to see the app and I know you're all here to see the workflow and the actual the click-throughs of it. So I will throw it over to Wayne, our CTO, to give a quick overview of the functionality, the top level, and then he'll bring up Jake to go through the demo itself. So come on up, Wayne.
Thanks, Bennett. So just to take a moment, it's important for us to sort of share that volunteering is really in our DNA, how it really builds, how it helps us think about the product, and we often like to go out on volunteering events and engage with different organizations. Me, myself personally, have been volunteering for about 2 decades, which is a scary thought, and then about 10 years in lifesaving. So really on the beach patrolling and seeing that full end-to-end, and so we can really understand that effort and the energy that goes into it. When we build a mobile app, we're really thinking about the volunteer. We want them experience to be frictionless and seamless and engaging. Sometimes we can not spend enough time thinking about that part, but that's where we really focus on that. The other part with the app as well is we know everybody has unique workflows and configurations, so we spend a lot of time focusing to make sure that is taken into account, no matter how you program up your journeys for the volunteer. That's really speaking to our trying to really create a best world-class volunteering app. That's really our focus. It singularly drives us. Within the app itself, you'll be able to find those opportunities, searching in your with a map, with the listings, with filters, being able to see upcoming shifts, accepting, rejecting roll offers and withdrawing in the schedule. So it's all really in the app itself. It's very easy to find. The enablement of push notifications becomes a really useful tool, engaging rather than using SMSs. The app can take directly to where you need to point them, checking in and checking out. So a really quick way. That can be geofence, and there's a few other features within that functionality as well. So I'll take you through a few slides just to give you an idea, and then we'll show you a live demo as we run through some of those features. So when you create your opportunities or events in the platform on the back end of the administrator console, then we'll be able to, that information then is presented back into the user as well. There's the filtering options, you can search by location, you can see the details. We always encourage to try to get the high quality images, and then that visual engaging part, visual imagery becomes very engaging for the volunteers as well. This is an example of what it looks like from the shift view, and in more details, so they can get all the information a little bit easier to find. And then depending on your workflows, there can be expressions of interest or check-in, check-outs. Again, based on we mold around your configurations. Push notifications, as I mentioned before. So from the backend console, you'll be able to notify push notifications the same way you would maybe trigger an email or an SMS. So that's all part of that administrator side. Once there is a caveat that the person has to enable the notification settings that we often see, and then that will come down to the mobile app from there as well. And then within the app as well, you can check in directly or pull up the QR code so that you can, for some of those that you have kiosk check-in mode, you can scan the QR code directly to check in as well. We have what we might show is...
Hi all, in this demonstration today, we'll do a general walkthrough of the Rosterfy mobile app, all the way from downloading the app in the App Store to logging in and landing on the app dashboard page. To begin, we'll navigate to the App Store and search for the Rosterfy mobile app and begin downloading. Next, I'll select the Rosterfy app to begin my onboarding journey. To create a unified login experience within the mobile app, Rosterfy has opted for a passwordless login experience for its volunteers. This allows our users to log in with all their favorite social login methods, including Gmail, Apple, Facebook, and email magic link. For the sake of this demonstration, I'll be using email magic link login method, which is already affiliated with an organization's account. Once the login processing is complete, users will then be required to follow the prompts for push notifications and sharing their location. Now this is where the smarts of the Rosterfy app will begin to shine. As a volunteer, if you have volunteered with any one of our current clients and the client has started adopting the mobile app, our organizational landing page will display all of those under linked accounts. From here, the user will be able to either log into Rosterfy community or choose any one of the organizations in which they have volunteered with before. For this demonstration, I will use the organizational parent account. Once an organization has been selected, volunteers will land on the dashboard page. Be sure to watch in our next video covering more information on the Rosterfy dashboard page.
So we thought we'd show that login process first, and then we'll take you to that live demo. But there's a series of social logins to make that easier for volunteers to find their accounts. So I hand it to you, Jake. Or you want to do the phone, and I'll... Do you want to share, and I'll do this thing? Move it across to the screen. Oh, yeah. So do that. Going to pull up one.
Is it dog, Jake?
That's my puppy.
Cool. Thanks, Wayne. Hi, everyone. I'm Jake. I'm the Senior Tech BA here at Rosterfy. It's fantastic to see this product come to life. From going from a few scribbles on a whiteboard to now having a usable product and being able to present the first sneak peek of the Rosterfy mobile app to our clients tonight is pretty exciting. For this demonstration today, we'll do a general walkthrough of the Rosterfy mobile app, covering areas such as applying for shifts, updating your profile, and having a look at notifications. We've developed all these key features with the volunteer at front of mind, ensuring that clicks to complete actions are minimal, user experiences of the highest standard, and features are intuitive and easy to use. To begin, we'll focus on the dashboard page. In here, you'll see all our navigation items at the top here. See the hamburger menu, which adheres to checkpoint permissions. We'll see our account switcher. We'll see our QR code for team leader check-ins and our notifications bell icon on the right-hand side there. We've tried to align these key areas in the dashboard with our current desktop offering whilst aiming for feature parity. Now in the dashboard, we will highlight all the key areas which volunteers would see in the desktop at the moment. So going from upcoming shifts, promoted events, promoted role offers, and promoted news articles. For our clients who use sub-accounts, you'll soon have some good news here too. Now for our account management side of things, we'll navigate to our hamburger menu up here and select our view account. The user is able to select view account and navigate to their profile preview page. In here, a user is able to update their profile picture, update their profile information, manage your account settings for things like languages, push notifications, and sharing location, and lastly, log out and delete/remove some from sub-account. Moving back to the dashboard page, we'll move our focus to the promoted events section. We can see in this carousel, we have two events, one for ongoing events and one for one-off events. The ongoing event will show us how a volunteer might apply for an ongoing commitment with an organisation, whereas our one-off event will focus on volunteers who might like to attend a major event. I'll start on our one-off event, where I'll complete an expression of interest to let my volunteer managers know that I'm interested in volunteering. Now that I've completed my expression of interest, I'll be able to apply for a shift. With these sample shifts here, I have configured these so that a volunteer will be required to complete a shift application before being accepted into the shift. We can see a volunteer is able to see the shift location, the shift time, if applications are open or closed, and the demand of the shift. For the sake of this demonstration, I'll complete a shift application form. From there, users are able to select more shifts or navigate to the dashboard to see their upcoming shifts. In the event here as well, we display for the user the location of the event, the start and end time of the event, and they're able to view the event on the map if required. Now that I've completed my shift application, we can see in my dashboard here, I've been confirmed for my upcoming shift on the 24th of June. Moving on to the ongoing event side of things, we'll now highlight how a user might apply for shifts in bulk using linked shifts. In this event, as the event is ongoing, we don't display a start and end time for this event. We'll only show when the user is required for the shift. So we'll see our event info in here, see our shifts. For this section, a user will be able to select the shifts they would like to apply for, but won't be able to proceed unless they are willing to commit to all linked shifts. So you would have seen in the cart there, you would have applied for all 5 shifts at one time. Now that we've applied and been confirmed for a few shifts, let's see how a volunteer would check in for their upcoming shift. We've aimed to keep this user experience as frictionless as possible and allowing the user to complete their check-in form, if required, via the dashboard page or completing within the shift view. Bear with me. It worked.
Good job.
So we've always got to have one thing go wrong. Cool. So now we're up to checking in for shifts. The user would navigate to the shift in the upcoming shift section. They're able to check in via the dashboard, or they're able to check in via the shift detail view. We've aimed to keep this user experience as frictionless as possible and allowing the user to complete their shift check-in form if required via the shift detail view. In this shift detail view, a user can complete actions like withdraw or add to calendar. Also, because I've been confirmed on this shift already, normally they would see a confirmed button as well. So let's complete our check-in form. Now you see I've then moved to a status of attendant. For the final couple of features I'll be touching on today, we're going to have a look at news articles and notifications. In our news articles section down the bottom here, we'll see these are our promoted news articles. You're able to view your news articles via the promoted section at the bottom of the app or via the left-hand menu at the top under the news section. Do a quick visual of those. Now for our final feature, we'll have a look at notifications. For notifications, we've opted to provide users with a visual of all notifications they may receive from Rosterfy. Using the bell icon in the top right corner, a user is able to see a feed of every notification that has been sent to them, whether it be a push notification or an automated email, thus creating a streamlined experience where volunteers can find all their communications. So at the top here, we can see what a push notification might look like. We're a welcome to our organization. And then below that is a shift application confirmation email. Thanks for watching today, everyone, and that concludes our live demonstration.
Thanks, Jake. That was a really good demo. Hopefully, it gave everybody a sense of how much effort that went into the mobile app. I know the team has really been working hard on that, and I'd like to personally thank them for their time. And we're really excited to see where you guys put the apps in the hands of volunteers. That's really we'll love to see those and hear those stories. So, if you are interested in enabling the app, Dee was going to go. I think I'm handling over to you, Dee. All right, perfect. So I'd like to introduce Dee. He's our customer success manager.
Hello, everyone. I've met some of you, and I've seen some of you in the past. So thank you for coming. If you're interested in downloading the app, we can speak after the presentation today. So yeah, just come up to me. I'll be around. But I wanted to quickly talk to Cancer Council Queensland today. They're one of our key charity partners here in Australia. I think we've unmuted Anthony. Are you here with us? Hopefully.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes. Brilliant. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Oh, camera's on, I think. So I think just because you got the screen share up, that's all good.
Yeah. So Cancer Council Queensland is one of our key charity partners, as I've said, and they've also adopted the app quite early on. So one of the earliest adopters here in APAC. So I wanted to touch on how they've been using the app, and for Anthony to give us a bit of background on their programs and volunteers. So Anthony, can you give us a quick overview of the programs and your current volunteers?
Yeah, sure. So we have, I guess, three. Cancer Council, Australian Cancer Council Queensland's purpose is to education and awareness and prevention, research and support. And as part of support, our volunteering network is a key ally in supporting us in our needs and supporting all people and all Queenslanders impacted by cancer. We have it was a good time with Jake putting in the ongoing shifts. That would be somewhere where we would call like a volunteer, and they're what people are committing ongoing time to support our services, and some of those services include our wig and turban service. So people being impacted by chemotherapy will lose hair, so we have hairdressers and sewers for wigs and turbans and the like. We have our peer support people, so that is the community that you would think, you know, the in-person treatment support and sitting with someone who's actually experiencing chemotherapy and going through cancer at that point in time. We have a transport to treatment. So they are people who are like our drivers. So what you would think similar to Meals on Wheels, where people are picking people up from either a lodge or from their home residence and taking them to a treatment facility. And then we have our Cancer Connect, and they're people who are available on the phone, people who've had lived experience, and there's a relationship stood up between someone impacted with cancer or a family member impacted by cancer and that person. And so they're available to pick up the phone and have a chat. On the other side of Cancer Council is our fundraising and Daffodil Day, we're all very familiar about. And so that would be an event where we have a dedicated events team or event participation. And I think to Bennett's point around the agility to be able to volunteer with multiple organizations, they might spend some time during the year supporting Daffodil Day as well as supporting other organizations and not-for-profits. So that's there that we would classify them more as a one-off volunteer in the context of our volunteering framework. And then we have a fundraising volunteers. So we have communities of people, be it a branch or Relay for Life committees, who stand up and run their own events to support Cancer Council. An example of that is our Bribie Island branch, who have been running a market stall for over 20 years in the local Bribie Island community. So they are self-managing and self-governed communities of volunteers. So that's our broader volunteer network. And then obviously we have our internal people who support those different activities, whether a service or our regional development support and our coordinators as well. So that's a little bit about Rosterfy, but how we use Rosterfy for Cancer Council and some of the services that volunteers support us in.
Amazing. And I know we piloted to 2 events in the app.
Yep.
Can you highlight, I guess, how you use the app for these volunteers or even your staff, and guess what features everyone maybe really liked? Yeah,
sure. We have a partnership with the Dolphins NRL team as the not-for-profit charity partner for the 24 NRL season. And as part of that, the opening game, we had a collection. It's a lucky draw competition where you go into a raffle, and then all the money raised, half of the money goes to the person who's picked out of the raffle. So it was about $16,000 in prize money for the winning raffle person. But we mobilized the volunteer network and stood up the event with the application in mind, rather than using a desktop and paper-based, typically historical activities. So we had event leaders who were health and safety people and some internal P&C people, as well as some business development specialists who were part of that volunteering community for that day. And we had really great uptake, particularly with the younger community, because we were proactive in some of our comms as part of standing up the event. Hey, download the app, that kind of stuff. And they found it quite useful, and there was lots of communication, I think, as well, like when there was a change of a safety session and the onboarding for Suncorp Stadium, the actual stadium themselves, using the messaging service within the application to notify people, hey, we're now meeting on the western side rather than the eastern side, and things like that. So it was very useful, and it was very seamless from standing up the brand on the desktop and then seeing it designed and shown out of the box straight off the application. So there's no you still run in desktop mode for setting up your events and the like, and running those more detailed kind of activities. But then when you're actually running the event, it's really streamlined and simple across the mobile app.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And how do you foresee the app enhancing your current volunteer engagement? Experience with volunteers?
Yeah, so we know that we need to build, I think Bennett touched on it, the engagement, and particularly around those event volunteers who may only engage with us and support us once a year. We want to keep them warm and give them opportunities, not necessarily for volunteering, but development opportunities or awareness and education opportunities. And I think on that picture there, you can see we've got the Daffodil, which is a newsletter that comes out, quarterly newsletter that comes out through Cancer Council. We're also talking about engagement activities around our 13, 11, 20 advisors actually talking about managing stressful situations, so not necessarily cancer related, and offering opportunities for people in our volunteering network to participate in those types of events so that we can then keep them, I guess, warm for those larger scale events. We're also running some thank you events as well coming up shortly. So the app's allowing us to kind of really target down as to inviting our community based on a region or a location, and working and communicating with them a bit more effectively and efficiently as well.
Yeah, amazing. That's really insightful. I guess last question is there a targeted approach that you're going to roll out to the rest of your volunteers, maybe to the older demographic? Do you have plans there?
Yeah, so we know we just can't go out, and everyone probably knows, you just can't go out and just drop something on a community of people and expect them to uptake it. So we're thinking about a targeted approach and a targeted rollout, particularly when we're thinking about the older demographic. So we're thinking about corporate partnerships with technology companies who may want to provide some corporate volunteering hours, and we can actually collaborate, work together, I guess, that they can provide some volunteering support for people to install the application on their personal device, as well as our training internally as well for our business development specialists and our people out in the regions to actually, sit down with people rather than just saying, hey, the app's available for, sending a text message or something. We'll get some traction there, or it'll be through some sort of campaign. So our Daffodil Day campaign coming up this year will be pretty focused in trying to get people to install the app at that point in time as well, particularly as the event-based volunteers are a younger demographic, and so they're more likely to engage on the application through a larger scale event, whereas our regular volunteers are reflective of the numbers that were shared earlier, an older demographic and an older community. But we have a lot of touch points with them, be it through our employees and community, where we can say, look, we want to target Wigs and Turban service, for example. We have a Wigs and Turbans coordinator for the state, and so we can work with them to ask them about how they would like to work with their people, their volunteers, to support and educate them as well. A couple of different approaches there.
No, I've learned something, so hopefully that was useful to people in this room. Yeah, that's all my questions. So thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, no worries.
For joining. Cool. And that's a wrap. So we'll finish off with questions. I think Bennett will lead this one. No questions for the room. There's no questions.
Thank you. Were there any questions from those in the room here? Yes.
Yeah. How does the QR code function work for checking out?
All right. Technical questions.
So
Right. Sorry. We just had a question around the QR check-in for everyone online. So Jake will come in and respond to a few of the technical questions for you all.
Yep. It's actually a very good visual for this, which Wayne was talking through earlier. See this scan down here? So this scan will open up your camera on your phone. And then so when you scan a QR code, the app will pop up a confirmation. You'll be able to check the user in from there.
So we as team leaders scan their QR code?
Yep, correct. Yep.
Can I just repeat that to the people online?
Yep. So if you're a team leader on a shift, you would bring up your camera on your phone via that screen I just showed a visual of then, and then the other volunteer would bring up their QR code from their dashboard page and be able to check in the user from there. Any more questions?
Hey Jake, Alice here. There is a question from Lydia on the channel here. Will the volunteer be able to support spontaneous hours instead of selecting a predefined schedule?
It's not a feature we currently support, but happy to take feedback on that.
Okay, Jake, I've got another question here potentially for you from Liz Hackett. For the expression of interest form, is the data sent to the volunteer managers via email or another way? I assume we would need to include as many questions as needed for the form.
I'd have to clarify the expected behavior on the desktop side of things. We would adhere to whatever happens on the desktop. So if the desktop receives a response of what is completed on the expression of interest, we would expect the app to behave the same way.
Engagement rather than registration. Engagement, voluntary registration.
Yes, so it's a feature we probably didn't highlight in the app too well before. So with the current state of the app, whilst it is a work in progress and we're still developing out further features, the target audience for the app at the moment would be existing users. So as Anthony kind of touched on before, users would still complete their registration, their onboarding via the desktop. And then when they comes to event time or the day of their shift, they'd be able to adopt the app and download the app and complete all their check-ins and whatnot from there. So registrations for like direct registrations to an organization is not something we can yet support, but it is something we're working on in the background. Cool, any more questions? Yep.
Yeah. Do the push notifications work if the volunteers don't have reception?
No, we don't have an offline mode in the app just yet.
You wouldn't get them anyway. No.
Yep, so just to repeat the question there, sorry, I don't know your name.
Oh, sorry.
Ellen asked a question, if the user is out of reception on their mobile device, will they receive the push notification? And the answer on that one is no, because they're out of range for reception and we don't have an offline mode in the mobile app just yet.
When you're setting up your events and your shift, do you have to set it up for desktop and then set it up separately for the app, or do they kind of roll out together?
They can be rolled out together, yes. So Tori asked, when setting up your events for your upcoming events, is there a separate form or action you have to complete on the desktop to be able to get these across to the mobile app? And the answer on that one is no. If you create an event in the mobile app, that will be visible on. Sorry, if you create an event in the desktop, that will be visible in the mobile app.
Have you got it? Are you able to give us an idea what it looks like if you're an administrator using the mobile app?
So the question is, what does it look like for an administrator on the mobile app? So the mobile app doesn't have an administrative view. All the administrative actions are completed by the desktop. Yep. So the target audience for the mobile app is existing volunteers and team leaders. Yep. Cool. Any more questions?
There's no more questions in there. Channel there as well. Thanks, Jake.
Cool. Back to Bennett.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Jake. Did well there in the hot seat. Thanks for the engagement. Thanks for the questions. Theme of the day. So we really appreciate that. Thanks to Anthony as well for
just share a quick question on the forms. Something we've learned as well is asking the right questions around. I know by default you ask, are you interested in other opportunities, but we actually now ask an explicit question across all of our entry pathways, be it on the websites and applications. Do you have lived experience with cancer? Because you probably saw on the numbers there that peer support number is really low. It's because it's a really high and intensive training requirement. So asking multifaceted questions for while you might be targeted on a stall or a shift for an event, creating visibility of talent through the entry pathway for a program, but also thinking about other programs that would be co-beneficial for say our peer support people. We ask that question. So I just thought I'd just put that out there. We don't ask 1,000 questions obviously about that, but if you're thinking about how do I get broader visibility of talent as they're signing up, it's asking some like really kind of clean questions around other kind of volunteering or requirements that you may have, so that you can then, it then will flag it up for you to say, hey, maybe this person could be an opportunity for peer support, and you can hand that off over to someone who is the coordinator or the administrator of that particular area. So I just thought I'd just add that in as well.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for that background and the application of the tool. So fundamentally, the app is there to enhance your current experience, but make it more engaging for volunteers. So to summarize, we did show this a little bit earlier, but next steps from here. So Dee is here, but please do book in some time after this session with Dee to go through the details, how it can fit into your account and sort of the timings around that. Make sure that volunteers continue to register through the desktop version. And then obviously once they've registered, encouraging them to download the app, as they'll see a replica in the app once they log in. We then got the integration, which is part of the admin portal that Dee can talk you through, and then notifying your volunteers. So nothing out of the ordinary, but Dee and the team are here to support you through those steps. And we're very, very eager to see and get that feedback as well. And like most things, if there are feedback that people have once they start using it and your volunteers have feedback, then please do submit it online. We have obviously a roadmap feedback form that we can share as well, because the product is designed by everyone using it. So that feedback's super valuable for us going forward as well. That wraps it up for today. Thank you so much for tuning in online. Thanks so much for those coming in here to the Melbourne office. A big thanks to obviously our wider Rosterfy team, and in particular Wayne and the developers and the product team and the analysts behind the scenes who have put all the legwork into this, because it has been a journey, and this is really just the start of it. There's a number of developments coming up off the back of this for the app over the coming months and coming year as well. So we're very excited about not only creating a volunteer community within your organizations, but then helping you amplify opportunities to a bigger audience of community in the future as well. So stay tuned for updates on that, because there's a lot coming down the pipeline that we're very excited about. So thanks again for joining.
Sorry, Bennett, to interrupt you. Just have one additional question pop through. Norma has just asked, is the app ready to download now, or when will it be available?
Yes, it's on the App Store, and people can download it. It's just if they download it and you as an organization have not set it up and we have not triggered the integration, your volunteers won't see anything in there. So it's best to get you set up as an organization and then encourage your volunteers to download it. Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for those online. We'll send out the recording after this and follow-up steps with your CS manager. Those lucky enough to be in the room, we actually have some drinks and nibbles and everything happening. So please stick around because we'd love to catch up and share some more thoughts with you and get your feedback as well. So thank you to everyone for joining us today. Cheers.